Bang! My front door just blew wide open, and for a split second, I genuinely wondered if I was about to get mugged in my own kitchen. Except instead of masked robbers, I'm looking at three people in cheap security uniforms, yelling at me like I'm some kind of criminal. My heart is jackhammering. My brain is still trying to process what's happening, and all I can do is stand there, clutching my power drill and my deed like a kid holding a security blanket, while these supposed HOA cops bark orders at me. That's when she walks in, Laura Allen, ice cold, clipboard in hand, business suit in a lakeside cabin, like she's the queen of some HOA kingdom I never agreed to join. I swear the look in her eyes could freeze pond water. You ever been invaded in your own home? Stick around. This gets wild. Let me back up a sec. I'm Adam Stone. I'd been dreaming about owning this lakeside cabin since before Dad passed, scrimping and saving every dime from IT consulting gigs just to have a place where family memories could grow without city noise. $180,000 later, I'm finally standing on my own slice of paradise, ready to put in the sweat equity to make it ours. Dad never got to see it, but somehow, every time I measure a board or run my hand over the old, battered countertops, I feel like he's right there, grinning, saying, measure twice, cut once. And honestly, the rehab work, that was my therapy. Swapping out cracked cabinets, running new wire, even sanding down 50-year-old floors that sounded like a bowl of Rice Krispies every time I walked through at night. It was all mine. So, that Saturday morning, I'm up early, classic rock on the radio, coffee percolating, and the sweet smell of sawdust and lake breeze mixing in the air. Everything feels just right. And then, boom, the door is off its hinges and my life flips upside down. Two guys. Later I learn it's Tyler and his buddy. Rush in, treating my power drill like it's a weapon and me like I just robbed a bank. You're trespassing, Tyler shouts, but I'm just trying to install cabinets in the house I own, holding my deed out like a shield. My confusion doesn't slow them down one bit. Tyler is already making a show of snapping photos, barking about unauthorized modifications and community property, as if I'd wandered onto government land. I try to explain, this is my home. I have the paperwork. But before I can get my words straight, in comes Laura Allen, that clipboard held high like a judge's gavel. Laura, late 50s, steel gray hair, not a hair out of place, looks me dead in the eye and, without even reading my deed, dismisses it with a wave. Individual property deeds don't override community authority, she says, like she's quoting from some HOA Bible. It'd almost be funny if she wasn't serious. But she is, and she immediately starts poking around my kitchen, opening cabinets, making marks on forms, and spouting off about potential danger to neighboring properties. The kicker? She demands access to my locked basement for a foundation compliance verification. When she can't get in, her mask slips for just a second. Panic, not authority, flashes across her face. Fast forward 20 minutes. I'm standing outside my own home, violation notice in hand, watching Laura slap a padlock on my front door. $4,000 fine or immediate property seizure, she says with a cold grin, like she's done this 100 times before. Her henchmen are packing up my tools like they're contraband. If you've ever stood outside your house, locked out, with everything you've worked for being boxed up by strangers, you know the kind of fury and helplessness boiling up inside me. And still, the question, why the obsession with my basement? That night, holed up in a cheap motel that smells like bleach and heartbreak, I call Sarah, the real estate agent who sold me the place. If anyone could untangle this mess, it's her. Sarah's a pro, 20 years selling lakefront properties, never seen an HOA drama like this. She arrives with every document ever written on my cabin. And here's the twist. Adam, your lot has never, not once, been under HOA jurisdiction. If that doesn't wake you up, nothing will. So who is Laura Allen? And why is she running this scam? Sarah and I start digging. Laura's address leads us to a rundown apartment complex 3 miles from the lake. No lakeside mansion, no queen of the HOA lifestyle. Her beat-up Civic and discount business suit start to make sense. Tyler and the so-called Harmony Lake Security? Completely fake. No business license, no insurance, nothing. I start knocking on doors. Mrs. Carter, next door, paid $200 for water testing that never happened. George, old-timer down the street, forked over $150 for a property assessment that was just Laura wandering around with a clipboard. Young couple paid $300 for a community safety fund. All told, she's milked over $3,000 out of my neighbors alone. You know what really gets me? Laura wasn't just scamming for chump change. She was methodical, predatory. This was organized fraud. I take my evidence to a property attorney. He listens, nods grimly, and says, fake HOA scams are the new gold rush. The law is slow. He tells me, document everything. Avoid confrontation. Prepare for a battle. This could take months. It'll be expensive. And meanwhile, Laura's out there, tightening her grip on the neighborhood. But then comes the twist nobody saw coming. Tyler, the guy who kicked in my door, shows up at my motel room, white as a ghost. You need to know something about my aunt, he whispers. She's planning something really bad. Turns out, Tyler's been recording her for weeks, scared for his mom, gathering insurance in case things went south. His phone is full of audio, Laura threatening him, laying out her plan, even bragging about forging documents. She's not just a scammer. She's a professional, been running this scheme in 3 other lake communities, always vanishing before she can get caught. Tyler brings the recordings to county investigators. Suddenly, the whole game changes. Armed with Tyler's evidence, my lawyer files for an emergency hearing. The judge listens to Laura's own words, lying, threatening, conspiring, and throws out her restraining order on the spot. The county moves fast. Neighbors rally, refund demands fly, and law enforcement closes in. Laura panics, tries to intimidate witnesses, including her own nephew. That's when the feds get involved, tying her to scams across 3 states. Her gambling debts? Turns out, she owes $15,000 to small-time loan sharks, not mobsters, but desperate enough to put anyone in danger. And suddenly, everything makes sense. Her obsession with my basement, her rush to process my property transfer. Investigators uncover an old survey error from 1962, 2 feet of disputed land. Laura was about to use that, plus discovered markers under my basement, to force a sale below market value, lining her pockets and paying off her debts. And then, cinematic as it sounds, it all comes crashing down at the community center. Laura, still clinging to her last shreds of authority, tries to hold an emergency meeting, spinning tales of malicious lies and community safety. She doesn't even get 5 minutes in before the county investigator stands up, plays Tyler's recordings, and rolls out a folder's worth of evidence. In front of everyone, neighbors she conned, people she intimidated, friends she isolated, her entire operation unravels. The federal agents are waiting. As she's cuffed and led away, she turns to me and shouts, "Those loan sharks know where you live, Adam. This isn't over." Maybe she means it. Maybe it's just the last gasp of a scammer who finally lost everything. After the storm, it's community healing time. We form a real, voluntary association, focused on improvement, not intimidation. Tyler, now in witness protection, starts a security consulting business, helping other communities spot scams before they take root. Our story gets picked up by news stations, used as a warning for anyone facing official demands that don't quite add up. The value of my cabin climbs. No more fraud cloud overhead. And, yeah, it turns out Laura's dangerous loan sharks were more scared of federal attention than she was of jail. The real threat? It was the paperwork, the fear, the manipulation, the power of fake authority over good people. So here's my call to you. Have you ever dealt with fake authority or been threatened by someone hiding behind official forms and titles? Drop your stories in the comments. What would you have done in my shoes? And do you think Laura's final threat was just the last desperate bluff? Or is there always another chapter waiting in the dark? Debate it, share your tips, and let's keep our communities safe. Sometimes, the real fight is just standing your ground and telling your story until the truth finally wins.